Với 3 người ứng cử viên đã được vào vòng chung kết tháng 6 vừa qua. Trước hết là John Camis, ông sẽ là người ra tranh cử giám sát viên khu vực 1. Matt Mahan sẽ ra ứng cử cho thị trưởng San Jose, và ứng cử viên biên đoàn, đại úy biên đoàn là một người cứu hỏa sẽ ra cho khu nghị viên khu 7.
Hey, can you all hear me okay?
Yeah.
All right, good evening. Thank you all for being here. Just as we kick off, I want to be sure to thank all of our co-hosts. So we have Trong and Evan, thank you for hosting us. June and Duke with Kramer Coffee, Eddie, White Tea, Dr. Juan, Tree, Tara, Fo Hanoi, To, Queenie, Knock, and Foban Me, Palo Alto, and Mr. Lap. So thank you all so much for coming together and hosting us. I really appreciate this opportunity. I'm going to speak for a few minutes, and then I'll stick around for a little bit of Q&A, and then I have to run to another event. I am running for mayor because I'm concerned about the direction we're heading in as a city, and I'm pleased to be joined by some other moderate, independent, common sense candidates who want to get our city and county going in the right direction. You know, we've seen a lot of change in San Jose over the last 10 years, but I don't think it's been for the better, frankly. We've seen growing homeless encampments, we've seen crime on the rise, we've seen a city that has gotten dirtier, less affordable, and that despite the fact that we are spending more on local government than we ever have before. So I'm running on the notion, the idea of accountability for results. I want to bring culture change to City Hall, to make it more focused on core services, on addressing the biggest challenges we face, setting goals, measuring performance, and tying the pay of our elected officials and our most senior leaders at City Hall, such as our city manager, to actually delivering results on the issues that affect our community: homelessness, crime, trash, building the housing we need where we want to build it, where it will not just add to more traffic and air pollution. I want to speak for a moment on homelessness and crime, the two biggest challenges we face. You know, we've called our campaign a revolution of common sense because as you look around at what's going on today in our public policy, there's a real lack of common sense. On homelessness right now, your local government has as its primary strategy spending over $850,000 per door to house the homeless. It's soon going to cost $1 million a door to get one person off the streets. That is not efficient. It's not scalable. We can do better. We need to invest in cost-effective shelter, in drug treatment centers, in a mental health hospital, in getting people off the streets into basic shelter and care quickly and cost-effectively. And when people don't want to come indoors, I think we need to be willing to enforce our anti-camping laws and say you need to be inside. I'm not for criminalizing homelessness, but I also don't believe it is sustainable for our community to have 6,000 people living outdoors in unmanaged encampments across the city. And I'll tell you, if we solve that problem, it will help address many other issues around trash and crime and the impact on small businesses. Let me say a word on crime. Another thing that doesn't make a whole lot of sense. We have a revolving door over at the county jail right now. Last year, San Jose PD, our police department, arrested 30 individuals 10 or more times each. One guy downtown was arrested 19 times last year. That's every other week. He's on a first name basis with our officers downtown. We're not exactly helping him out, and it's terrible for the small businesses and the residents of neighborhoods impacted by this revolving door. So I understand those who say, well, our jails shouldn't be our primary providers of mental health care or addiction treatment. Sure, I agree with that. But then our county has a responsibility for going and building a mental health hospital, building a drug treatment center before we simply depopulate our jails. Today, our jail is half empty, and we're spending more than ever to run a half-empty jail while your police department is spending a lot of time and a lot of taxpayer dollars arresting the same people, and we're failing to intervene to help those people, and more importantly, to keep the whole community safe. So as mayor, I will be a vocal advocate for common sense policies that make our community safer, cleaner, that house the homeless, and that reduce the burden on small businesses and those who are trying to bring jobs and build housing in our community, which we desperately need. I'll end on this. I came here from I came to San Jose from Watsonville. I grew up in a small town on the other side of the hill. It's where your strawberries come from. I came here as a work-study scholarship student at Bellarmine, and I came here for opportunity. That's the reason everybody has come to our city over the years, is for greater opportunity and upward mobility. And we've offered that to people, but lately, it doesn't feel like a city full of opportunity anymore. It's gotten too expensive, too unsafe, too dirty, and we need a change in direction. And that's what I'm running on, is common sense reform to get our city going in a better direction so that every young person, every entrepreneur, every family in our city lives in a place that's safe and clean and affordable and has opportunity for future generations. So thank you for hosting this. Hopefully I get to answer a few questions, but I do want to pass this off to my colleagues, so I'm very proud to be sitting up here today. Thank you.
You guys want to, you was ganging up on me earlier?
No, it's the same district.
Oh, it's the same district. All right, I'll give you the mic then.
That's very gracious of you. Thank you. And you know how much I relish the fact that you've gotten into public service to begin with as a firefighter serving our community. And I've been supporting him since he put his name on the ballot. So thank you for doing that.
Thank you.
My name is Johnny Camus. Much like many of you, I am a refugee. I came here from Beirut, Lebanon in 1976. I don't want to tell you how old I am, but I came here at 8 years old, so you can do the math. I grew up right here in San Jose, and I have gone to all the local schools. Oak Grove High School, San Jose State University. When we first came here, I struggled to learn English, like many people here did. I got bad grades in elementary school, but I worked my way through college managing Safeway food stores, and then I got a degree in business management. I became a small business owner and created a financial consulting business that I just sold to run for political office. I get on the San Jose City Council because I got tired of the way we spend our money. Just like I never thought that it made sense. So I got on the city council and found ways to make sure we get stuff done, to get accountability. Like the last time we passed a tax measure T, I wrote a memo that said we must spend $300 million on pavement maintenance. Now many of the roads, I hope, are being paved because that memo provided accountability. Without accountability, we're never going to get anything done. They'll find ways to spend money on other cool things at the time. New offices that I voted against. I can tell you that I have been working very hard to make sure that small business people have a voice at City Council. I fought against new regulations and new taxes. And when the county shut down everything, I was one of the only elected officials to work with the Chamber of Commerce to do a press conference saying that please don't shut down all our businesses. Allow some of them to open partially. Let's have them open safely. The county does a lot of things that all of you don't know about, like shutting down businesses. Like the fact of the matter is, the city can't end homelessness alone. They must have support from the county. The county's the only one that has mental health facilities. They're the only ones that have drug addiction programs. So we can elect Mayor Matt Mahan, and we can elect Ben Doan, but they will still need the support from the county. The county has been asleep at the wheel for many years. They've known about the mental health issues. They've known about the drug addiction issues. And homelessness under the current leadership has not gone down. They brag about, housing 14,000 people, as his opponent likes to say. Then how come the statistics are much higher? There are actually more people today that are homeless, 10,000, than there were when they did the survey 3 years ago. It was 9,000. I have new ideas on homelessness. New ideas like temporary conservatorship. This is something that I've worked on with other community leaders to get passed at the county level, which allows for people to get off the street if they're very mentally ill. I also want to use the new law, I hope it passes, it's the Gavin Newsom law, it's called the CARE Courts. It will make sure to help people get off the streets that are drug addicted and mentally ill. It's a temporary conservatorship law that I want to implement at the county, regardless of how much resistance we get. I also want to make sure that the county gets the money from the state. If you look at a lot of the times, the county actually doesn't apply for grants. I looked at a lot of their audits, and they said that they're not applying for millions of dollars of mental health grants. We got to stop that. At least take the money from the state. At least take the money from the state and help the mentally ill that we have. I have many of the same ideas. I don't want to bore you. Many of the same ideas. I think we're speaking on the same page. We need to build inpatient mental health services and drug addiction services. And guess what? The county owns buildings that already can house some of these things. We got to spend money wisely. Not, you know, I want you all to come visit my website. You will see how much government waste there are. There was actually $2.5 million spent on writing a history book that the lady actually plagiarized from Wikipedia. It was in the Murphy News a couple of weeks ago. They spent $5 million on valet parking for their employees. They demolished a building that was supposed to be retrofit into a 160 unit housing complex for the homeless. They turned down a $20 million grant and turned it into a parking lot. These are not the decisions I would have made as a supervisor. I'm hoping that all of you can support me. I am the common sense person who understands small business, who understands the immigrant community, the immigrant mindset, and how hard we work for our tax dollars. I'm hoping that you can get behind my campaign, Johnny Canvas for Supervisor, District Number 1.
Cảm ơn tất cả quý vị, anh chị em, cô chú của mình và đồng hương của mình tới đây. Thì Viên cảm ơn Evan với Trung Lâm với chị Dung, anh Đức và với tất cả mọi người đã trong cái ban hoạt động là làm cho cái ngày tiệc ngày hôm nay. Viên ra là tại sao? Viên là nghỉ viên này là 8 năm rồi. Rất là nhiều người kêu Viên ra. Nhưng mà Viên 8 năm á, là Viên 7 năm Viên cứ từ chối. Thì năm nay người ta hỏi Viên, thì Viên nghỉ qua nghỉ lại, thì ngay giữa cả 2 giờ đêm á, Viên thức dậy Viên nói một cái núi kéo mình phải ra. Tại sao? Viên á là làm ở trong cứu hỏa là 27 năm, là bây giờ Viên 11 năm là đại úy ở trong thành phố San Jose, là 22 năm trong cứu hỏa trong thành phố San Jose. Thì lúc mà mình đi ra đi vô, mình đi cấp cứu, mình thấy rất là nhiều cái khó khăn, cái khổ sở của cái cử tri của mình. Mình thấy rõ ràng nè, mình khu vực 7, gia đình Viên ở trong khu vực 7 này là 37 năm. Mình thấy rõ ràng là mình không có cái an toàn an ninh, không có đủ cảnh sát. Ngay ngày hôm nay, Viên ở bên Grand Century Mall đó, vừa mới vô một cái tiệm vàng, Viên vừa mới đi ra, không có tới 1 phút quay lại á, dù cho cảnh sát ngay đó vừa mới bị ăn cướp ngay ngày hôm nay trước mặt mình. Mà tại sao là khu vực 7 phải bị ăn trộm ăn cướp nhiều nhất? Tại vì biết tại sao không? Cái thành phố này nè, nó không có công bằng. Nó đưa tiền á, qua khu vực 1, khu vực 10, khu vực 6, Santana Road. Khi nào nó cũng có an toàn an ninh bên đó. Mà tại sao khu vực 7 không có? Rồi xong á, mình nói về vô gia cư. Khu vực 7 này nào, mình có hơn 30% người vô gia cư trong cái thành phố này. Mình có gần 3.000 người vô gia cư, mà mình không có đủ tiền để mình giúp đỡ cho người vô gia cư, mà không có đủ program. Hồi đó là Viên làm ở trong cái gọi là cái bệnh viện gọi là Agnew. Agnew used to belong to the county, là một cái bệnh viện để cho mấy người có tâm thần, bị tâm thần đó. Thì mình mới biết cách mình giúp đỡ cho người ta. Mà bây giờ trong nguyên một cái county này á, mình chỉ có 78 cái giường để cho mấy cái người mental health đó. Mà còn 70% trong 3.000 người đó đó, 70% người vô gia cư á, gọi là ma túy. Thì lúc mà mình hút ma túy, uống ma túy nhiều đó, thì mình sẽ bị tâm thần. Chắc chắn nó gọi là paranoid schizophrenia. When you take enough drugs, you will have paranoid schizophrenia and many other problems. Thì cái đó là mình phải đoàn kết với county, là mình ủng hộ cho Johnny Camus. Rồi xong mình có một người thị trưởng ủng hộ cho mình, rồi Biên ở trong đó thì ủng hộ cho cái cộng đồng của mình. Và cộng đồng của mình á, bao nhiêu năm này không an toàn an ninh, nhiều người vô gia cư, mất việc, bao nhiêu cái business của người Việt Nam mình bị đóng cửa, đúng không? Và mình coi như vậy nè, mình nghĩ là cái trường học ở đây nó tốt, không, cái trường học ở đây nó cũng rất là best. Mình rank là 60 trong 60 cái nước Mỹ là 60 là best nhất, nên mình phải ủng hộ về cái trường học cho mấy đứa trẻ. Và mình thấy rõ như vậy nè, vì cái cộng đồng của mình, Biên mới ra thì Biên xin cái lá phiếu của cộng đồng của mình, đã bầu cho người nào mà đã bầu cho Biên á thì tiếp tục bầu cho Biên. Mà vì cộng đồng mình tiếp tục mình bầu, tại sao? Mình để mình có một cái tiếng nói, mình lấy lại cái quyền lợi là ngay cái sinh hoạt là Bắc Cali của mình. Tại sao mình để cho người ngoại quốc lấy cái quyền lợi đó? Nó không có lý do. Mà mình phải đoàn kết. Bây giờ mình có một cái cơ hội rất là nhỏ để mình có một người Việt Nam lên. Nếu mà mình bỏ qua cái cơ hội này đó, là người mẹ nó sẽ chiếm á, là nó sẽ có thể là được 7 người nghỉ viên, là mình sẽ không bao giờ có cái cơ hội đấy đó. Thì mình biết mình ra ứng cử vì cộng đồng thì tất nhiên mấy anh em cô chú của mình, mấy bác vì cộng đồng nên đi ra bầu, vì cộng đồng ra ủng hộ cho mọi người Việt Nam mình. Cảm ơn tất cả mọi người cho Biên vàng lên cùng vậy.
Alright, so this event, this opportunity is for you to get to know these candidates heart to heart. So now we'd like to take this opportunity to open up the floor, get some Q&A going. That way we get the chance to speak with these candidates directly. And because Matt has to leave in about 20 minutes, so if anyone have a question, the first couple of questions from Matt, that would be great. Then we'll allow Matt to leave in about 10-20 minutes. He can make to the next appointment. So how do we do this, Chị? You wanna?
Sau đây xin mọi người nếu ai có câu hỏi thì cứ đặt câu hỏi. Bây giờ ông Mark Mahan phải đi sớm thì chúng ta sẽ đặt câu hỏi với ứng cử viên thị trưởng San Jose trước. Quý vị có thể giơ tay lên và chúng tôi sẽ đưa microphone cho quý vị.
Hi, my name is Vietnamese Andrew in English, and I'm from the Gateway radio program on 3/4 Channel. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay.
Hold it close.
I have a question for you, Mark. First question is that, have you ever heard about the Vietnamese Cultural Center located in the Story Road? If the answer is no, then you may need to know if you want to get the vote from the Vietnamese voters. If you do, how would you help to revitalize this abandoned center? And how do you do that? And my second question is that, if you win, would you support the project to erect the statue, the monument, in the Vietnamese in Chiến thắng Quảng Trị, mean the victory of the Quảng Trị province in Vietnam, to honor the Vietnamese soldier of the then Vietnamese Republic of Vietnam in a decent public place? My third question is that, what do you think about the announcement from Santa Clara supervisor about last week that they have approved a big budget spending to build more house, not tiny houses, for the homeless people in Santa Clara County? But Governor Newsom said that housing is not a good solution because homeless people with mental health substance abuses would not stay in those government-built houses due to their mental health and addiction issues. What is your stand on this matter? You go with the county supervisors, or you agree with Governor Gavin Newsom? Thank you.
Thank you so much for the questions. Let me go to your last question first, because I spoke to that earlier, and I very much support the idea of care courts, which, as Johnny Camish just mentioned, would allow a judge to mandate someone into treatment, and importantly, would mandate that that county provide addiction treatment and mental health care for people who need it. That's what's missing today, is a mandate on both government to provide the services and the individual to accept that. And that's a lack of accountability, which is why you see people walking the street talking to themselves, and nobody brings them indoors, nobody gets them the care that they need, and it's not right. So I very much agree with the governor's proposal there. Under earlier points, yes, I am aware of the service center, and what I have heard from the community repeatedly, coming out to events every week, is the need for an actual community center. Not just health services, but a gathering place that the community feels ownership over. And one of the things I've said is that we need to meet each other halfway. As mayor, I will absolutely help organize and fundraise and make sure the city is supportive of building a proper community center for the Vietnamese community. But the days of redevelopment and a lot of free money from the state for these kinds of things are over. We cannot do it the way we used to. We will need business leaders to step up and contribute as well. But I absolutely think it's important that we have a proper community center for the community, monuments to celebrate the Vietnamese heritage and culture here and celebrate the incredible bravery of our veterans. My father was a veteran, was in the 101st Airborne Division during the Korean War. So I am very supportive of that kind of memorial to our fallen soldiers and those who sacrificed. In fact, since, as Johnny mentioned, his experience as an immigrant, I'll just share this. My wife's family lost everything in Cuba at the hands of the communist regime. They fled with nothing. And so it's very personal to my family that we have leadership locally that understands that if the answer to every problem, and by the way, this tends to be my opponent's answer to every problem, is another tax, another regulation, just make government a little bit bigger, we're going to end up with communism. And so I don't want to see us drift in that direction. I want to see a government that is accountable and focused in delivering results on the things that we're good at, including public space, like parks and community centers. So I hope that answers your question, but thank you. They're important topics. Let me add one other thing. Very important that we have Vietnamese representation on the council. Yes. We're going to have a hard time delivering for the community when the community is not represented on the council. We have 11 council members. Our city's 40% Asian American. It's what, 15, 18% Vietnamese specifically. How many Asian Americans are on our council? 0. We should have at least 4, just to be roughly represented. 0. So as mayor, I am also committed to cultivating, supporting, and bringing up Vietnamese community leaders who want to run to represent their community at City Hall so that we can deliver on some of these community needs.
Okay, in the back. You can come up here so we see your face.
Would re-education camps for the homeless be a good idea? No? Re-education camps?
I'm sorry, say that again?
You know re-education camps?
Yeah.
For the homeless?
Re-education
Go back to
camp.
society and have a job, and if they don't get a job, they go back to the re-education camp.
Yeah.
Food, provide a shelter, shower.
This gets to my criticism of what my opponent in this race has been doing, which is putting all the money into building brand new housing. Right now, the primary way that your city and county government are addressing homelessness is building brand new apartments that are costing over $850,000 a door. I don't think we should be putting all the money, we should be taxing our middle class, working class people, our small businesses to build brand new housing. It's soon going to be $1 million a door to house one person. And as has been mentioned, there are a lot of other underlying issues, root causes we need to get to. Job training, job placement, addiction treatment, mental health care, family reunification, all sorts of other things we need to be doing. I will lead the charge, and I know my colleagues here, my fellow candidates, are aligned on this. We're not putting all the money into brand new shiny housing and apartment buildings, but getting at root causes, actually helping people get back on their own 2 feet cost effectively, and in a way that they can be self-sufficient, not simply on the government payroll for the rest of their lives. So we need that shift in culture and attitude locally if we're going to actually end extreme homelessness. I want to make sure you all can hear from my colleagues here. Maybe I can take one more question. I would like to share one thing as I close, and then I have to run to another event. Is there one more question? Don't be shy. No? Okay, going once? All right, one more question. There we go.
Have you heard about the one-stop housing for the homelessness program that Pastor almost running right now? Have you heard about that?
Who's the pastor?
Almost, almost.
I don't know if I've met him. I don't think so. But it's like a wraparound services with all the different
Yes,
services
it's
together.
around services
Yeah.
where we can do, like medical,
Yeah,
housing, job, and everything that's called
Yeah.
one-stop service.
I love
What
that.
do you think about that program? Because we do the funding right now.
Yeah, so I would love to meet Pastor Olmos, but I will tell you this, the programs that are most effective don't put all the money into the housing piece. They put it into the supportive services as well that help people get back on their own feet. There's a group similar to what you're describing up in San Mateo called Life Moves. They had great success in their downtown, moving people into basic shelter on a parking lot, but the focus was service intensive. Counseling, health care, job training, job placement, family reunification, helping stabilize people. They graduated over 80% of the families and over 50% of the individuals to back into permanent housing with people paying rent within 18 months of running a service-intensive program, which is what you're describing.
Yeah, because this program, I think it's very great because most of the homeless people have diabetes. And number one cause of death is insulin. They don't have refrigerator for their insulin. They cannot inject the insulin.
Yeah.
So this program we want to have it is we have that, like that kind of insulin clinic for them. And where they can wash up, very nice so they can do their job interview.
That's great.
Or work on the housing apartment,
Can we follow up so I can learn more
I
about
can
this
give it
one?
to you. I can forward.
Please send it to me. I
Yeah,
love that.
send it.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, I want to thank our hosts again and Johnny and Viet for running. This is a team effort. No one person is going to solve these problems. It's going to take culture change, political change. It starts with all of you. Political change starts with the people. It starts with meetings like this. My team, who milling about here, have helped put on 200 meet and greets in our city this year. Opportunities like this to meet with neighbors across the city, to be honest with people about the issues, the challenges we face, and how we can get our city going in a better direction. So as I leave, I want to just share this. We end every one of our house parties or meet and greets with a pledge card. We cannot go in a better direction unless the community steps up and demands change. The only way we get change is if you all get involved and expect more from our candidates and our elected officials. So my team will be distributing this. I promise to invite Johnny and Bien to the events we do in their districts. But please sign up. You can pledge to vote. You can host a meet and greet of your own with your friends. You can put out a lawn sign. This is a grassroots effort for culture change to get our city and county going in a better direction. So I hope to get all of you involved. Thank you again for the opportunity. Thank you to Johnny and Bien and our hosts. Thank you so much.
So, as Matt is leaving, we still open for questions. So, for those that have been holding questions for Johnny Candace or Bindo, please ask your question now. You have a question? Okay. Of course. Matt is leaving. Go ahead.
Hello. Question for you, sir.
Matt is leaving.
Matt. Yes. Question for you.
Yes.
Will you support Secretary of State?
No, I did not. I have come out against the county's refusal to cooperate with federal authorities for being violent offender investigation. I think that's wrong. I think if somebody has murdered somebody, drug trafficking, human trafficking, I don't think we should cooperate with federal authorities. I already have.
Anyone have a question for Johnny Camus or Viet?
Let me, if not, then,
We're gonna have them speak on some of the things that you think
well, let me go ahead.
If I get everybody's attention here, let's talk about the homelessness, right? We have to, what you call, start with the first step. The first step is called prevention, right? A lot of family who lost their job during COVID, if we spent $10,000 or $15,000 to keep them afloat 2, 3, 4 months, 2 or 3 months, we get them to a job training, we get them to a job placement, then they continue to self-sustain. If we don't do that, it's going to cost us $50,000 per homeless person. Now, when Matt was talking about the permanent housing, it's $1 million per door. But we forgot about the $25,000 plus per year for their services. Okay? So we forgot about $25,000 plus per person per year. So we have to learn how to triage the homeless and then prioritize on their needs. We want to be able to build enough prefabricated homes. Those who like to talk, I'll come on up here and I'll give you the mic. Okay? And those who like to listen, please quiet down. So, the homeless, we have to build the prefabricated home that costs around $6,000. Not the $180,000 tiny home. We put them into an area where they got their services all the way around them. That's including drug rehabilitation, alcoholism, mental illness, job training, job placement, mentorship, until they are part of the communities. If we don't do that, we have this vicious circle, right? The old saying is this: if you're a homeless person, if I give you a fish every single day, when I'm not there, you're going to starve. But I give you a fishing pole and teach you how to fish. When I'm not there, you can survive. It's called responsibility. Even the homeless have to have responsibility. We can use LAWR laws, the new care from Gavin Newsom, right? We can use 5150, but we gotta have facilities like the old Agnews, much more smaller, more efficient, and more social workers, so that way we can help the homeless to get back on their feet, to become part of our communities. We have to reach out to nonprofit organizations, to the county, to churches, right? And those who can join the group to help the homeless. And we do it one at a time. And those who promise you that they can end homeless, that's a lie. Because homeless been around since mankind been here. Until the day I die, they'll be homeless. Let's get realistic. We can reduce the amount of homeless, but we cannot end homeless. We can reduce the amount of homeless. And that's the things I'm talking about. And then I'm going to go right into public safety. I'm telling you right now, right in front of my face, today, with the police officer there, and one of our jewelry stores got robbed. District 7 have more crime, more gangs, than any other district. We have not had our share. We need to bring the police department back up at least 2,000 personnel. In 2008, we had 1,450 police officers. As of right now, we got 1,150 police officers. The city council and the mayor were saying that within the next 5 years, we'll hire about 100 to 150 more. When our population from 2008 until now has grown. If we cannot have safety, businesses is not going to thrive. Tourism is going to die. Families going to suffer. And all the businesses as well. I've seen too many windows. I've seen too many businesses close up because of the crime right here. How many of you guys feel safe when you go shopping here? How many of you guys feel safer when you go to Santana Row? I just went to New York. They have what's called community policing. They have substations all over the place. And that's what we should be doing here. We cannot sit in silence. We have to demand the services. We pay taxes. And don't let anybody fool you by saying, oh, well, we'll hire off-duty police officers. That's a double taxation. We pay taxes once for the protection of the police, and we expect the same thing. We don't have to pay twice. You have a question?
Yes. I have 2 questions for you and 1 question.
Let's go one at a time.
The future supervisor.
Oh, Johnny. So can we ask, excuse me. Why don't you hit Johnny first? Hit Johnny first, and then Vin's going to be sticking around and talking
Yeah.
about us. Yeah, go ahead.
Hi, John. I have a question about the supervisor's position in District 1. The trend now is before the district was more like conservative, but now it's more like liberal because of redistricting. Correct me if I'm wrong, like Los Llanos is like will divide into more to the other district. My question is that your campaign, when I read your website, you mentioned that you would increase the funding for the sheriff office. And your opponent more likely focus on family and education. How do you make sure that the police department, in terms of accountability, that they don't use the funding to build a pipeline from school to jail for the young people, especially young people of color? Thank you.
So the first part of the question was, I don't know if it was a really question, but I can tell you that I do believe in prevention. I don't want there to be a pipeline from kids to jail. But the sheriff's department is so understaffed that they cannot even patrol the expressways, which are county properties. They can't control many of the areas that they're responsible for. And they don't even have enough prison guards to take care of the prisons. They're very understaffed and weakened and demoralized. They can't even catch speeders. How many people have seen the speeding going on and the death due to those sideshows? That's because there's not enough police officers on the force. While Sylvia, my opponent, might talk about families, families need safety. Families don't want to be robbed in the middle of the night. Families don't want rapists to get out of jail early.
Folks in the back, excuse me. If you're speaking, please step outside. If not, then please come forward. Thank you. Sorry, Jonathan.
Yeah, I think it's important to understand I am for families. I'm a family man myself. And I don't want my kids to go crowded events anymore because I'm scared that something's going to happen to them. I don't want my kids to even be on this. They both have their driver's license, and I'm scared that they're gonna get on the road because nobody is giving out speeding tickets. That's what I'm talking about. Public safety needs to be important. We can't keep letting the same people out of jail. It's, as Matt said, it's a revolving door. And the county has control about who is let out. I actually have a plan on recidivism. Right now, when people get out of jail, they are offered training. They're offered training to get a skill. They're to become a plumber or an electrician or a pipe fitter. But why are we waiting till they get out of jail to offer them the services? We need to offer the services while they're in jail so that when they're released from jail, they have a skill that they can rely on. I'm talking about different ideas. My opponent keeps talking about doing the same thing, like decriminalizing everything. What has decriminalizing led us? I was against Prop 47 and 57. My opponent was not. She was in favor of them. What happened now? Thefts are going up like crazy. Crime, people don't even report crime. My son got his bicycle stolen 2 times. 2 separate bicycles, one in front of Safeway and one in front of his school. And we can't even report it because it's under $950. It doesn't matter. Criminals, there's no punishment for them anymore. That's what I'm talking about. It's not about, it's a wrong argument. There's no more punishment for people. So why shouldn't they rob everybody blind? And we can't keep talking about, you know, letting people go without any consequence. There has to be consequence for wrongdoers, and we must start standing up for that. All of you need to start standing up for that, otherwise we're going to continue going down the wrong path. And I don't know if anybody here is a store owner, how many times they want to get robbed without having the person robbing you be punished. It's not happening. The police are barely taking reports. The police didn't even want to take a report from my son who lost 2 separate bicycles in a matter of 6 months. So I hope that answers your question.
I just want to explain to you a little bit about the people of the redistricting.
Yes.
Like your opponent maybe have more advantage because like more working class people and maybe some more of them have a bad experience with the police. So how do you like send the message that your change would not hurt the people of color in terms of like police abusiveness?
Well, I can tell you that every police officer that I know will not tolerate another police officer that is abusing somebody. You know, for every one police officer that is bad, there's 10,000 that are good. And I like what we did in San Jose. We actually train our police officers. They come and meet the community. We actually recruit from within the community. There's a lot of Vietnamese police officers on the force. I actually helped to promote a gentleman by the name of Jason Todd, who is now an assistant sheriff in another city. But we must recruit people from the community. That's one way of getting the police more involved in the community and to understand. So I think there's a lot being said about that. I think that people from every working class especially want safety in their homes. They want to go home to a safe home.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Give me one more question.
Question for you. You said you were in New York, and you said you were in New York recently, and we were talking about the crime and how they have different substations. I might be wrong, but I've been looking at different things from New York, and I know they have different substations, but they're all saying they've never seen so much crime in the history of New York. Now, so how are we going to start doing substations here if it's not working over there?
So substation can be a mobile substation. Just the mere presence of the police officer or a substation prevent people who want to commit crime. Because I'm telling you right now, when I walk in New York, and I'm not compared to other cities, I feel safe. Even there's thousands and thousands of people surrounding me. Because every 50 yards, there's a couple police officers. They walk the beat. They look at you, they talk to you. And then every 500 yards, you have a clear substation. And I'll tell you this, New York got 8 million people. We got 1. Can we do something better? Absolutely, we can always do better. But if we continue to the way with the city council right now, in District 7, what you see, more garbage, more homeless, more crime. The economy is getting worse. People are losing jobs. No business coming in. So I would say this, if you want the same garbage that you got right now, you vote for the same person. I'm not a politician. I'm merely a fire captain who want to make a difference in this community. And not only I'm going to represent the Vietnamese, I'm going to represent the Hispanic, the Caucasian, the Filipino, the Indian. And those are the things that's what count, right? We have to voice ourselves. We have to stand up and fight for what is right here in District 7. And this is what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about the whole city. I'm talking about District 7. Where you live here, you work here, and the crime is here, the garbage is here, the homeless is here. So I applaud all of you to go out there and stand up, voice yourself by voting. We have that power. Don't let it go.
Johnny, hi. I just have a quick question for you. For the county, do we know to do anything better for city inspection? Doing permits to like speed up the speed, because obviously after COVID, we felt like they make an excuse after the COVID and they try to make much longer time than before, and the process absolutely is a lot slower. Slower. So anything that we can do to change that after?
Well, I can tell you, when I was on city council for 8 years, I was the head of the Economic Development Committee. And I was able to help a lot of businesses speed through some of the processes, especially the restaurants. I created a program where the county and the restaurant owners and the city would meet, because there was 3 different parties and there's a lot of people involved in restaurants. I am going to be looking for ways to speed up things at the county. It won't help the city because that's a different issue. But the county's horrible too. It makes the city look at the county's building planning department. I'm going to go in there. I need to understand the slowdowns. When you go into a business and analyze it, you need to ask the employees, how can we speed it up? When I was a city council, I created a program for any employees to come with ideas. We'll get $5,000 for good ideas that we implement. I want to create a program at the county for an employee idea program, where if you implement your idea, you're going to get a bonus. So it took me a few years to get that across the finish line. Don't expect it in my first year, but that's the kind of stuff we need to listen to our employees and how we can do things better, faster, and cheaper. When I was a council member, we created a small project desk for building permits. Why? Because the person that was doing a re-roof had to stand in line behind the same person that's doing a restaurant. So it's not fair to the guy who's doing a simple roofing job. We created a short line with some of the newer employees to get trained on the easier ones. So we had a short line and a longer line. That's the kind of stuff that I want to do with the county. Workflow management, and it's boring, but that's something I do well. Before I go, and I have to go to the same event that I hope our future mayor is going to right now in another part of the district. I want to let you know that I have been devoted to making sure our community is heard. I want you to know that if I get elected, I will be in the community. I will see you. I will be part of these meetings where you can ask me any questions that you want. I have my campaign manager. Her name is Diane. She's outside. If anybody wants to volunteer for the campaign, host a meet and greet, contribute to the campaign in any way, all these campaigns require money to print materials and what have you. We all need your help. As I say, if you want the same thing, elect the same type of politicians. Don't do the same thing and expect different results. Thank you all for your time.
I have a question. No, for Mr. Bill.
Chúng tôi biết là quý vị có người có những câu hỏi cho ba người video này. Ngày 17 tháng 7 này chúng ta sẽ có một cái buổi họp mặt với thành viên thực sĩ tức là ngày 17 tháng 7 ta có 40 triệu và chúng tôi sẽ có chúng tôi sẽ có thì mời gọi ra nếu quý vị nào có câu hỏi cho bác nghe thì chúng ta sẽ phải
Okay, so what we're going to do is take a few more questions for Viet. Thank you, Johnny. Johnny City. And then we take a few more questions and we'd like to have a happy hour. So there's drinks and food and we have a happy environment.
Before Johnny goes, I just want to make sure we understand that Johnny Canvas, he is committed to support our community from the county level. Remember that the county hold large chunks of money. And Johnny is committed to support our community. So we need to support Johnny Canvas to make sure he's in that seat. County Supervisor District 1. Go ahead.
I have 3 questions for you, but now the organizer just limit to 1. So my question is that if you win and Mark Mann win, would you promise the Vietnamese community that you will fight hard to revitalize the abandoned, blighted Vietnamese cultural center located on Story Road? I know that there's a lot of political going on, and that is a result. The Vietnamese culture center is now like ruined, like run down, blighted, and abandoned. So, if you win, would you promise that you will support, you will help, you will try very hard to get the funding to rebuild the Vietnamese Cultural Center located on Story Road? Thank you.
Well, let me answer that real quick. I came here since I was 10 years old. Been in the United States for 47. And I came back to our culture. I know, I'm going to speak in Vietnamese. Tôi biết gốc của tôi là ở đâu. Tôi biết tôi là ai. Tôi biết cái hướng đường nào tôi đi. Thì bây giờ tôi trở lại tại vì cộng đồng của mình. Thì cái lời hứa của tôi là như vậy. Tôi sẽ làm hết tất cả cái khả năng của tôi để ủng hộ cho cái cộng đồng mình. Nhưng mà lúc mà mình đại diện á, mình phải đại diện hết tất cả mọi người. Mình biết á, là cái công việc truyền thống 30 năm chưa xong. Mình ngó là cái EACC nhiều cái project đã hứa và làm chưa xong. Cái tượng đài chiến sĩ Mỹ, Việt Mỹ cũng chưa xong, đúng không? Rồi xong á, mình coi thử cái đường story, cái bia đằng trước á, là cái tiền tư nhân, cá nhân của mình bỏ ra để mình lo lắng cho cái bia đó. Rồi xong mình cũng không có một cái cổng nói là Liêu Sài Gòn để chúc mừng tất cả bà con tới, không có đèn. Và trong mấy cái cột đèn cũng không có cái lá cờ để ủng hộ là cái chỗ trung tâm trái tim của cộng đồng của mình trong Bắc Cali. Đi biết là đi phải đại diện hết tất cả mọi người, nhưng mà cái ưu tiên á là để cho cái cộng đồng của mình, mà mình sẽ lấy lại cái trái tim, cái quyền lợi của mình và cái vinh dự của cái người Việt Nam trong thành phố San Jose này.
That is a very strong, and I hope that you win And I hope that all of us here will vote for Dean because we need more Vietnamese council members. We need more seats. So everyone out there, get alongside, put it in front of your house. Let's vote for Dean. And with that, we open up the happy hour. So drinks and joy. Thank you, Dean.
Cảm ơn tất cả quý vị và anh em mình. Nhớ cái lá phiếu ở bên này, cái giá trị của nó rất là cao. Đừng có bỏ cái lá phiếu đó đi. Mình cần một người Việt Nam đứng đại diện. Bạn biết tại sao không? Bây giờ mình không có ai ở trên đó hết á. Mình phải có một người đại diện. Rồi sau này á, mình mới mở một cái hướng đường cho tất cả đứa trẻ và cái tương lai của mình 10, 20, 30 năm. Nên nhớ ủng hộ cho liên đoàn. Cảm ơn tất cả mọi người.